Hey everyone, Sarah here. Rewind Justice brings you revenge stories that will blow your mind. If you're ready, hit subscribe and let's go.
But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you how my sister's desperate attempt to destroy me ended up destroying her instead. My sister Rebecca has always been the golden child. From the moment she graduated law school and joined a prestigious firm in downtown Chicago, our parents treated her like she'd cured cancer. Every family gathering became a celebration of Rebecca's latest achievement. Made senior associate? Mom threw a party. Won a case? Dad bought champagne. Got a company car? They acted like she'd been elected president. Me. I was the family disappointment. Maya works in tech, Mom would say with a dismissive wave as if I collected garbage for a living. Something with computers. We don't really understand it. What they didn't understand was that I'd built one of the fastest-growing cybersecurity companies in the Midwest. But I never corrected them. I had my reasons for staying quiet and they were strategic ones. Rebecca loved reminding everyone of our different statuses. At family dinners she'd talk about her six-figure salary, her corner office, her client meetings with Fortune 500 companies. Then she'd turn to me with fake concern. And Maya, how's your little startup thing going? Still in that shared office space. I'd smile and say, it's going well, thanks. The truth? I'd moved out of shared office space 3 years ago. My company, CipherGuard Technologies, now occupied 2 floors of a premium building in the Loop. We had 240 employees, contracts with major financial institutions, and we just closed our Series C funding round at a $180 million valuation. But I never told my family any of this. My business partner, Keisha, thought I was crazy. Why don't you just tell them, she'd ask. Show up to Thanksgiving in your Tesla, hand out business cards, end this nonsense. Because, I'd explain, the moment they know I have money they'll want it. Right now they leave me alone. I can build my business in peace. What I didn't say was that I was also watching. Watching how my family treated people they perceived as failures. Watching how Rebecca manipulated our parents. Watching how they all became when they thought someone was beneath them. Every dismissive comment, every mocking laugh, every time they conveniently forgot to invite me to important events, I noted it all. Not for revenge. For protection. Because I knew that if I ever needed to cut ties completely I'd need to remember why. Things got worse after Rebecca got engaged to Marcus, a tax attorney from her firm. The wedding planning became a year-long showcase of everything I supposedly wasn't. Rebecca's wedding will cost $85,000, Mom announced at Sunday dinner. Marcus's family is contributing half. We're covering the rest. She looked at me pointedly. Family helps family, Maya. Perhaps you could chip in? Even $1,000 would show you care. $1,000. I'd spent more than that on client dinners last month. I'll see what I can do, I said quietly. Rebecca smirked. Don't strain yourself. I know you're probably living paycheck to paycheck with that tech job. I wasn't living paycheck to paycheck. My last quarterly dividend had been $340,000. But I wrote them a check for $1,000 and watched Rebecca examine it like I'd handed her Monopoly money. Thanks, she said with exaggerated gratitude. Every little bit helps. The wedding itself was a masterclass in humiliation. Rebecca seated me at table 19, next to her college friends' teenage children. When people asked how we were related, Rebecca would laugh and say, "That's my sister Maya. She's in computers. Very sweet, but not exactly climbing the corporate ladder like some of us." I smiled through it all. Congratulated them. Gave a modest toast about sisterly love. Meanwhile, my phone buzzed with notifications about our company's latest government contract. A $12 million cybersecurity implementation for a federal agency. The real problem started 6 months after Rebecca's wedding. I'd gone no contact by then. Not dramatically, I just stopped showing up. Stopped answering calls. Stopped participating in the family theater where I played the unsuccessful failure and Rebecca played the shining star. This drove my mother insane. Maya, you need to come to Sunday dinner, she'd leave on my voicemail. Family is family. Rebecca is very hurt that you're avoiding her. Rebecca hurt. The same Rebecca who'd spent 20 years treating me like her personal punching bag? I didn't respond. I was too busy preparing for CipherGuard's next phase. We were in acquisition talks with a major tech firm. If it went through, I was looking at a potential exit worth $220 million. with my shares alone worth approximately $88 million. But my silence created a vacuum and Rebecca filled it with lies. I found out later what she'd been telling people, that I'd had a mental breakdown. That I was living in a rundown apartment in a bad neighborhood, barely making rent. That my tech job had fired me and I was too ashamed to admit it. That I'd asked her for money multiple times and she'd kindly refused for my own good. None of it was true. I lived in a luxury high-rise in River North. My company was thriving. I hadn't asked anyone for money since I was 16. But the lies worked. Our extended family started treating me like a charity case. Aunts would leave concerned messages. Cousins would reach out with job leads for entry-level positions. Uncle Tom tried to set me up with a friend who managed a call center. He says they're always hiring, Uncle Tom said cheerfully. Good benefits too. I thanked him politely and declined. But I was taking notes. Mental notes about who believed Rebecca's lies without question. About who never once thought to ask me directly. Then came Thanksgiving 3 years after I'd gone no contact. I showed up because my grandmother specifically requested it. She was 89 and I loved her. She was also the only family member who'd never treated me like a failure. "Hiya, darling," she'd said when she called. "I know there's tension with your sister. But I'd love to see you. Please come." So I went. Big mistake. The moment I walked into my parents' house, I knew something was different. Rebecca sat at the dining room table with a smug expression that could have lit up downtown Chicago. Our parents flanked her like security guards. Various aunts, uncles, and cousins filled the room, all watching me with a mixture of pity and anticipation. This was an ambush. "Maya," Mom said coolly. "We're glad you could finally join us." "Grandma asked me to come," I said simply. Rebecca stood up. She was dressed like she was going to court, full power suit, hair professionally styled. She held a manila folder like it was evidence in a trial. "We need to talk about your lies," she announced. The room went silent. "What lies?" I asked calmly. "You've been telling people you run a successful company," Rebecca said, her voice dripping with fake concern. "That you're some kind of tech executive. Maya, we know that's not true. We know you've been struggling. And instead of asking family for help like a normal person, you created this elaborate fantasy." I said nothing. "It's okay to fail," Mom added. "But lying about it? That's what we can't accept." Rebecca set the folder on the table with dramatic flair. "I hired a private investigator. The best in 3 states. He's been tracking your real life for the past 60 days. My Uncle Chris leaned forward. "Rebecca spent $10,000 on this investigation. That's how much she cares about getting you help." "The investigator will be here in 10 minutes, Rebecca continued. "He's going to read his findings to everyone. Your real job. Your real living situation. Your real financial status. And then, Maya, we're going to have an honest conversation about getting you the help you need." Aunt Carol nodded sympathetically. "We're doing this because we love you." I looked around the room. 37 family members, all watching me with pity or judgment or schadenfreude. All of them ready to witness my humiliation. All of them about to be very, very surprised. "Okay," I said quietly. "Let's hear what he found." Rebecca's smile widened. She'd been waiting for this moment for 3 years. James Brennan arrived exactly on time. Former FBI, 23 years in federal investigations, now running his own private firm. I knew his reputation. He was thorough, ethical, and expensive. Rebecca had chosen well. He was a tall man in his 50s, wearing a gray suit and carrying a professional leather briefcase. He shook hands with my parents, nodded politely at Rebecca, and then his eyes landed on me. Something flickered in his expression. Recognition? Concern? I couldn't tell. "Mr. Brennan," Rebecca said eagerly. "Thank you for coming. Everyone's here. You can present your findings." He set his briefcase on the table and pulled out 2 thick folders. One blue. One red. "Before I begin," he said, his voice measured and professional, "I want to clarify the scope of my investigation. Ms. Rebecca Chin hired me to conduct a comprehensive background check and financial investigation of her sister, Maya Chin. However, as a standard practice in my firm, when we investigate one party in a family dispute, we conduct parallel investigations of all relevant parties. This protects us legally and ensures we're not being used for fraudulent purposes." Rebecca's smile faltered slightly. What does that mean? It means, Brennan said, opening the blue folder, I investigated your sister thoroughly. But I also investigated you, Ms. Chin. And your parents. And anyone else mentioned in your initial complaint as having relevant financial interactions. That wasn't necessary, Dad said sharply. We hired you to investigate Maya. Nevertheless, Brennan continued, it's company policy. And in this case I'm glad I followed protocol. He turned to me. Ms. Maya Chin, you have the right to refuse this public disclosure. I can provide my findings to you privately. No, I said calmly. I'm fine with everyone hearing this. Rebecca relaxed. She thought I was making a mistake. Brennan nodded and opened the blue folder. Investigation of Maya Chin, age 34, residing in Chicago, Illinois. The room leaned in. Subject currently resides at 875 North Michigan Avenue, Unit 4702. A luxury condominium valued at $2.1 million, purchased outright in 2021 with no mortgage. Mom gasped. Dad's face went red. Rebecca's mouth fell open. Subject is founder and CEO of CipherGuard Technologies, a cybersecurity firm incorporated in 2018. The company currently employs 243 people across 2 locations. Revenue for fiscal year 2023 was $47 million. The company completed Series C funding in March of this year at a valuation of $180 million. Uncle Chris dropped his drink. Subject's personal net worth, including company equity, real estate and investment portfolio, is estimated at $94 million. She was featured in Forbes 30 Under 30 Foot in 2022 and Chicago Business Journal's Tech Leaders to Watch in 2023. The room was dead silent. Brennan looked up from his folder. Subject has no debt, no criminal record, no history of mental illness or financial instability. She holds active security clearances for government contract work. Her company has contracts with 3 federal agencies totaling $28 million over the next 4 years. He closed the blue folder. Rebecca's face had gone white. That's not possible. It's thoroughly documented, Brennan said. He pulled out several papers. Company registration documents. Forbes article. Bank statements showing account balances. Property deed. Federal contract summaries. He laid them on the table like evidence in a trial. My mother picked up the Forbes magazine reprint, staring at my photo on the page. Maya? This is you. Yes, I said simply. Why didn't you tell us? Dad demanded. I looked at him directly. You never asked. You assumed I was a failure and I let you believe it. Rebecca was shaking her head. No. Oh, this is fake. Maya can't be. I assure you, Brennan interrupted, everything is verified. I spent 60 days on this investigation, Ms. Chen. I stake my professional reputation on these findings. Then he picked up the red folder. Now, he said, his tone shifting slightly. During my parallel investigation, I discovered some concerning irregularities regarding Rebecca Chen's financial activities. Rebecca's head snapped up. What? Ma'am, your sister is Forbes 30 Under 30 $180 million verified. But your loan applications show $95,000 in falsified income. The room erupted. Brennan opened the red folder with the calm precision of a prosecutor presenting evidence. In 2021, he began, Rebecca Chen applied for a home mortgage loan with First National Bank. On the application, she listed her annual income as $285,000. He pulled out a document. However, her tax returns for that year show an actual income of $190,000. That's a $95,000 discrepancy. Rebecca stood up so fast her chair fell backward. That's a mistake. A paperwork error. Perhaps, Brennan said. Except you made similar false statements on 3 other applications. A car loan in 2022, inflated income by $63,000. A personal loan in 2023, inflated by $48,000. A credit card application that same year, inflated by $31,000. He laid out each application, each one damning. That's not fraud. Rebecca shrieked. Those are estimates. Projections. They're signed statements of current income, Brennan corrected. And they're inconsistent with IRS filings, which constitutes loan fraud under federal law. Mom grabbed the documents. Rebecca, is this true? Additionally, Brennan continued, I found evidence that Ms. Rebecca Chin has been embezzling from her law firm's client expense accounts. Small amounts, $500 here, $1,200 there, but totaling approximately $34,000 over 18 months. Rebecca's face went from white to crimson. You can't prove that. Brennan pulled out more papers. Expense reports with your signature. Receipts from personal purchases coded as client entertainment. I've already forwarded this information to your firm's managing partner, as I'm legally required to do when I discover evidence of financial crimes during an investigation. The room exploded into chaos. Rebecca, what have you done? Dad shouted. Aunt Carol grabbed her purse. I'm not being part of this. My cousins started backing toward the door. Rebecca turned on me, her face contorted with rage. You set this up. You knew he'd find this. I didn't know anything, I said calmly. You hired him. You're lying, she screamed. You planned this. You wanted to destroy me. Rebecca, I said quietly, I didn't destroy you. You destroyed yourself. I've been building a company for 6 years. You've been committing fraud. Those are choices we each made. Mom was crying now. Maya, surely there's some mistake. Rebecca wouldn't. Mrs. Chin, Brennan interrupted, I have 60 days of documentation. Bank records. Surveillance footage of your daughter making personal purchases with her firm's credit card. Emails discussing how to hide the expenses. This is thorough. Actionable evidence. Rebecca's phone started ringing. She looked at the screen and her face went even paler if that was possible. It's the senior partner, she whispered. I'd answer that, Brennan said. I spoke with him this morning. He's likely calling to ask you to come to the office. Rebecca didn't answer. She just stood there shaking as her phone rang and rang. Then it stopped. A text message appeared. Even from across the room I could see her hands trembling as she read it. They want me at the office in 1 hour, she said hollowly. They're starting termination proceedings. Uncle Tom stood up. I think we should go. Nobody leaves. Mom shouted. Then she turned to me. Maya, you have to fix this. You have money now, right? You can make this go away. I stared at her. Make what go away? Rebecca's mistakes. Pay back what she took. Talk to her firm. You're successful now, you have connections, right? You can fix this for your sister. The audacity of it took my breath away. You want me, I said slowly, to use my money and my reputation to cover up Rebecca's crimes? The same sister who spent $10,000 trying to publicly humiliate me? The same family that treated me like garbage for years. She's your sister. Dad shouted. Family helps family. Interesting, I said. When Rebecca needed help hiding her fraud, I'm family. But when I was supposedly struggling and needed help, I was a liar and a failure. Rebecca was crying now, mascara running down her face. Maya, please. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for everything. Just help me. Please. I looked at her. Really looked at her. This woman who'd made my life hell for years. Who'd mocked me, dismissed me, lied about me. Who'd hired an investigator specifically to destroy me in front of our entire family. No, I said. Maya. Mom screamed. How can you be so cruel? I'm not being cruel, I said. I'm being honest. Rebecca broke the law. Multiple laws. She committed fraud. That has consequences. And those consequences are not my responsibility. Brennan was packing up his folders. If you'll excuse me, I have other appointments. Ms. Maya Chin, you'll receive a full copy of both reports via secure email. Ms. Rebecca Chin, I strongly suggest you retain a criminal defense attorney. The evidence I've provided to your firm will likely be shared with law enforcement. He nodded professionally and left. The moment the door closed, Rebecca collapsed into a chair, sobbing. My career is over. Everything is over. Maybe you should have thought about that before committing fraud, I said. How long have you known? She demanded through her tears. How long have you been this successful while letting us think you were a failure? 6 years, I said. I started my company 6 years ago. And you never told us? You never asked. You assumed. You created an entire narrative about my life without ever once talking to me directly. You believed what you wanted to believe because it made you feel superior. Mom shook her head. But why hide it? Why let us think you were struggling? Because, I said, I wanted to build something without your interference. Without you asking for money. Without Rebecca competing with me. And I wanted to see who you all really were when you thought I had nothing to offer. That's manipulative, Dad said. No, I corrected. What's manipulative is lying about someone to make yourself look better. What's manipulative is hiring an investigator to publicly humiliate your sister. What's manipulative is committing fraud and then expecting your family to cover for you. I grabbed my coat. I came here because Grandma asked me to. Where is she, by the way? In the guest room, Aunt Carol said quietly. She didn't want to be part of this intervention. Of course she didn't. Grandma had always been the only one who treated me like a person. I headed toward the guest room, leaving my family in chaos behind me. I found Grandma sitting in the rocking chair by the window reading a book. Maya, sweetheart, she said, smiling. How was the show? I laughed despite everything. You knew that Rebecca was planning something? Of course. She's been insufferable about it for weeks. Grandma patted the seat next to her. Sit down, dear. I sat. I've always known you were successful, she said simply. I stared at her. What? Maya, darling, I'm 89, not senile. I saw the Forbes article. My friend Helen showed it to me. She recognized you from family photos. She smiled. I'm very proud of you. Why didn't you say anything? Because you clearly didn't want them to know. And after watching how they treated you all these years, I understood why. He squeezed my hand. You deserve to build your life in peace. I felt tears prickling my eyes. Thank you. Don't thank me. You did this yourself. She paused. Are you going to help Rebecca? No. Good, Grandma said firmly. She made her choices. She needs to face the consequences. That's what adults do. From the living room I could hear Rebecca still crying, Mom still yelling, relatives still arguing. Will you stay for dinner? Grandma asked. I made your favorite pie. I don't think I can handle being out there right now. Then we'll eat in here, she said simply. Just you and me. Like we should have done from the start. So that's what we did. While my family imploded in the next room, Grandma and I ate Thanksgiving dinner together, just the two of us. The consequences came swiftly. Rebecca's law firm fired her 3 days after Thanksgiving. They also filed a civil suit to recover the embezzled funds plus damages. The State Bar Association opened an investigation into her conduct. The banks she'd defrauded weren't as forgiving. Federal prosecutors got involved. By mid-December, Rebecca was facing 4 counts of bank fraud and 2 counts of wire fraud. Her attorney negotiated a plea deal. Guilty plea, restitution of $95,000, 3 years probation and permanent disbarment. Her marriage didn't survive either. Marcus filed for divorce in January, citing irreconcilable differences and claiming he'd had no knowledge of her criminal activities. My parents tried to guilt me into helping. Phone calls. Emails. Showing up at my office building. She's your sister, they'd say. She made mistakes, but she's still family. I never responded. Uncle Tom tried a different approach. Think of your reputation. If people know you let your sister go to prison while you're worth millions, what will they think? I sent him one text. They'll think I have boundaries. The extended family split into camps. Some thought I was heartless. Others thought Rebecca got what she deserved. A few asked if I was hiring. I blocked most of them. The only family member I stayed in contact with was Grandma. I visited her twice a week, took her to her appointments, made sure she had everything she needed. She never once asked me to help Rebecca. Consequences, she'd say. We all need them. In May, CipherGuard Technologies was acquired by a major tech conglomerate for $340 million. My personal payout was $136 million. The announcement made national news. Chicago Business Journal ran a profile. Forbes did a follow-up feature. My phone exploded with congratulatory messages from colleagues, friends, and business contacts. It also exploded with messages from my family. Rebecca sent an email from prison. She'd ultimately served 6 months for violating her probation terms. I'm so proud of you, sis. When I get out, maybe we can grab coffee and talk about everything. Delete. Mom left a voicemail. Maya, we saw the news. That's wonderful. Your father and I would love to take you to dinner to celebrate. We have some family financial matters we'd like to discuss with you. Delete. My cousin Jennifer, who'd laughed the loudest at Rebecca's Thanksgiving intervention, sent a text. Hey Maya. Long time no talk. I'm starting a business and could use some advice from a successful entrepreneur like you. Coffee sometime. Delete. Book. I did get one message I answered. Keisha, my business partner and friend, texted, drinks tonight to celebrate? Or are you too rich and famous now? I replied, never too rich for drinks with you. Usual place, 7 p.m. It's a date. And Maya? I'm really proud of you. Not because of the money. Because you stayed true to yourself through all of this. That text meant more than all the millions. The final encounter. I ran into Rebecca 9 months after the acquisition. Literally ran into her at a Starbucks near my old neighborhood. She looked different. Thinner. Tired. Her clothes were from Target, not Nordstrom. No designer bag. No power suit. Maya, she said quietly. Rebecca. We stood there awkwardly while other customers flowed around us. I'm working at a legal aid clinic, she said. Helping people who can't afford attorneys. It doesn't pay much, but it's honest work. I nodded. I'm also in therapy, she continued. Trying to figure out why I needed to tear you down to feel successful. Why I lied. She trailed off. That's good, I said. I hope it helps. Maya, I know I don't deserve forgiveness. But I want you to know I'm sorry. Genuinely sorry. Not because I want your money or your connections. Just because you deserved better. You always deserved better. I studied her face. She looked sincere. Broken but sincere. I accept your apology, I said carefully. But I can't have a relationship with you. Too much has happened. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. I understand. I just wanted you to know. She turned to leave, then stopped. Maya? That company you built? It's incredible. You're incredible. I wish I'd seen that earlier. I wish I'd been the sister you deserved. Then she walked out. I stood there with my overpriced latte watching her go. Did I feel vindicated? Yes. Did I feel sad? Also yes. But mostly I felt free. 2 years after the acquisition, I started a new venture. A cybersecurity consulting firm specializing in helping women-owned businesses protect their digital assets. I also launched a scholarship fund for first-generation college students studying technology. Grandma came to the launch party. At 91, she was still sharp as ever. You didn't invite your parents, she observed. No. Good, she said. You've built a beautiful life, Maya. Don't let people who didn't value you when you were building it claim credit now that it's built. That wisdom right there was worth more than any fortune. I still get messages from family members occasionally. Invitations to weddings I won't attend. Birth announcements for children I'll never meet. Christmas cards from people who made my life hell. I don't respond. Some people call it cruel. I call it self-preservation. Because here's what I learned from Rebecca's investigation that backfired so spectacularly. You teach people how to treat you. For years I accepted their dismissal, their mockery, their cruelty. I stayed quiet and let them create narratives about my life. But silence isn't the same as acceptance. I was never the failure they claimed I was. I was never the liar Rebecca accused me of being. I was a woman building an empire while they built houses of cards. And when those cards fell, through their own weight, not my action, I didn't catch them. I let them fall. Because some consequences can't be fixed. They can only be learned from. Rebecca learned that the hard way. My parents learned it too when they realized money doesn't buy back trust. As for me, I learned that the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's building a life so beautiful, so successful, so genuinely happy that the people who tried to destroy you become utterly irrelevant to your story. They're not villains in my narrative anymore. They're just people I used to know. And I'm just fine with that.